Good afternoon or evening. This is Brandon Foster, the confidence coach and author of Confident AF, Unleash Your Inner Badass. And today I am super excited because we have a Born to Slay testimonial with Rachel Sally from Pinks and Green Travel. And I've been looking forward to this for a while. And I'm gonna admit her right away. We're gonna get right into the goody details. Hi, Rachel. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. Okay. So I want to tell everybody first, like, how we met and a little bit about your background in the travel business and as an entrepreneur.
Okay, I love it. So first of all, I think I'm cool because I got to know Brandon as a person before I entered Born to Slay. Um, it was the first fam I had ever been invited on, and then it was funny because as Brandon and I were talking, it was a fam that he had been invited on by this BDM multiple times, and he couldn't, like, the stars never aligned to go. So I had actually been seeing his ads on Facebook of like, hey, travel agency owner, like, are you dealing with all these problems? And so like I joined his Facebook group. I was very much watching. I remember I was even like, we moved last summer when I stumbled upon his pages, and I was even like unpacking and like had his lives on, like watching him. I don't think I ever told you that, Brandon, but like I knew his face and I knew his name. And so when one of my agents and I arrived to the Cancun airport, we go to find our transfer, and the man checking us in was like, Brandon Foster. And I was like, I know that name. And then I see Brandon just like looking around, like no one was claiming him. And I was like, are you Brandon? And he's like, yeah. Like, he's like, who are you? Where is this coming from? So we got to share a transfer and get to know each other and be on a fam together, which, like, it's wild because that fam alone changed so much just for me and my business. So one of the biggest blessings was getting to know Brandon, and I just got to see his heart. And um, I don't think there's any doubt that anyone could ever have that Brandon is the real deal, but like he is the real deal. Like he leads with his heart, and there's just not that many people out there, I think, that do that. So loved getting to know Brandon that way. And then a little bit about me and travel. So I started as a travel advisor 4 years ago now, with an agency. um Learned very quickly that I just love to sell travel. I used to be a teacher, and so I think the switch between, like, when you're a teacher, like, even if your kids do well, like, there's not like that, like, oh my gosh, like, you are the best teacher ever, you know what I mean? Like, I would work so hard. I was the last teacher at school every day. The custodian had to kick me out every day to say it's time to lock up, like, but nothing like came from that, you know what I mean? Obviously I was a teacher, but nothing physically came from that. And so when I started to like travel, and I realized, oh my gosh, like, I'm really good at this. This feels really good. It feels good to be praised. It feels good to, make more money because I'm working harder. So I quickly fell in love and just did a deep dive. I was with my other travel agency about 2.5 years. And then I just decided it was time to branch out, start my own agency.
Yeah.
And what is super crazy at the time, because again, well, I didn't say this yet, but I'm a military spouse. My husband's active duty Army.
Yeah.
We move every 2 to 3 years. This was in January 2024, and we were moving in June. And at the time, I had a 5-year-old, 3-year-old, and just turned 1-year-old, 3 boys. And at the time, I was like, there is no way I can start a travel agency right now. This is literally psycho. I have 3 kids. We're about to move. Like, we had already started packing up stuff, for the house. And I was like, there's no world I can do this. And then for me, like, my faith is a big deal as well. And I knew in my gut that God was telling me it was time. It was time to go and start my own agency. And it was crazy because I had these like 48 hours of like just in a total fog of like, it literally felt like my brain was spinning because I was like so confused. I'm like, I like nothing was making sense. And then I had this moment of clarity. And it's funny because it happened while I was on the phone with my husband. He had gone to play piano at church, and I'd stayed home because I just like truly was in such a funk. I was like, I don't know what's happening. And he was on the phone when I had this like moment of clarity. And I was just like, I think I'm supposed to start my travel agency right now. I don't know, if I'm going to have any agents with me or if it's just going to be me. I made the decision at that time, because I'd been a stay-at-home mom up until then, that I was going to, put my youngest into childcare, even though my big kids, they go to elementary school. And it was so weird, but I just like, I saw the path, I saw the plan, and I was like, yeah, it's going to be crazy, but like, we're going to do it. And he was like, all right, I'm here to support you. So that started what has been like the craziest 16, 17-ish months of becoming a travel agency owner. I started with, I think my first goal was like to have 5 agents, just to like have 5 agents for fun. And now we have almost 40. And yeah, everything that's happened has happened in its right time. And obviously I can go on and on about all the things Brandon helped me with, but um, I I felt like becoming a travel agency owner was kind of just like placed on my lap. You know what I mean? It just felt like I was like the right person to do it, and I jumped in and did it. But especially through Born to Slay, I have really leaned into like, this is my calling. God is on this journey with me. He did not put me on this journey for failure. He put me here for a reason. And even on the days where I'm like, oh my gosh, am I a terrible mom because I put my kids in childcare? I have to remember like, this is the job God put on my heart, and I'm doing good things, and He's here to support me, and it's never a bad thing. So
I love that. You said so much and it was so good. Thank you for sharing the background and how we met, all that kind of stuff. True story, y'all. She stayed me in the Cancun airport. I probably would have gotten in a stranger's vehicle or van, and who knows what would have happened. So she did totally, her and Amber saved me in the Cancun airport. So I love that. I love that story. The other thing that I think is really funny is when it doesn't matter who it is, but when everyone runs Facebook ads,
right,
there is this idea of like stranger ish, like the concept of a stranger. And it's what's ironic is like, from the person running the ads, you can feel that like, who are these people that are joining my group? Yeah. And what I loved about our interaction is like, you were like, oh, he's real. Like, he's a real human being. He's a real person. Like, yes, I am real. You see me on the interwebs. You see me on YouTube. You see me on the places. My podcast, my book. I am a real person. So I love that. Why don't you share a little bit about why you decided to join Born to Slay? Because I know, I remember when you decided to join, I was at Disney Springs and you messaged me, and I know that you were having conversations with the hubs, and he was a little bit apprehensive about the investment and moving forward. What was going through your mind? What was going through your business that made you decide to join?
Yeah, I was at a point, and it was funny because I met Brandon on that fam in like September. And even at that point in September, I knew I really wanted to grow. I thought I was doing like some things right, because I felt like, especially a lot of my like new agents that had come on, they were seeing success. And so I was like, okay, I've got some things going right, but like, I do want to grow eventually. And I was really just kind of like, I don't even know like how to do that. Again, it just felt like I kind of like jumped into this role, and I'm just like learning as I go, And so even on our fam, I remember like I would ask Brandon like very specific questions, and I would also give you the caveat, because I'm like, I know you're not here to like speak into us, and I wanted to respect the boundaries of like, you were there, you know what I mean? I wasn't trying to like freeload and get a bunch of information, but again, I knew, I could just tell that he was such a wealth of knowledge. And so the couple things that I was really struggling with at the time, with like charging my agents like a monthly fee to like cover all the expenses of the agency, like little things like that, that I was just like really uneasy about. And I was like, can you just give me something? Because I'm like, the internet is not helping me. Like, I just need like a human to like give me some, guidance and stuff. And I had also started really binging your podcast. Do people call it binging podcast? I had started really binging your podcast, because I was like, there's just so much in here. Like, I just need to like soak it all up. And I very much feel like if you're soaking it up, like you're able to like work on it and all that kind of good stuff. So yeah, and I think honestly, one of the biggest things was I was kind of just at like an identity crisis. Like, even before we met, like before deciding on Born to Slay, You had like your questions that you ask, I'm sure everybody, of like, okay, where are your sales at? What are your goals? Like, blah, blah, blah. And it's funny because I looked back at them and I think I was truly at just like such an identity crisis, because like your girl loves to sell travel. Like I love selling, and I still have like my personal goals I like want to sell. Um, but I was at this weird crossroads of like, do I grow my personal business or do I grow my agency? And so I think that was the biggest clarity I needed coming into Born to Slay. Like I just needed someone to guide me into like being the leader I'm supposed to be, leaning on God like I'm supposed to. It just felt like I needed all these pieces to kind of come together and help me show a little bit more of my path. So yeah, I think that was where I was at the beginning of Born to Slay. And it's funny too, because of course I had the big dreams of like more sales, more agents, more things, but like as I think back, like it really was like getting that mental clarity on that I am supposed to be a travel agency owner, like that I am supposed to be speaking life into my agents that are on my team, that there are all these other things that like weren't on my goal list, but working through Born to Slay have just opened my eyes to so many different things that I should be working on as an owner.
Yes, I love all of that. And reflecting back on that conversation, because it was a while back ago.
It was
At this point, Boo, I think identity crisis is a great way to put it, because in order to grow your business, you can't stay the same person that you were.
Right.
And when you're shifting from travel agent to agency owner, you are going through an identity transformation.
Mhm.
And when I really think about some of my favorite clients, you being one of them, it is transformation the identity, whether that's transforming the identity from being someone who is a six-figure earner to a seven-figure earner, or travel agent to agency owner, or an agency owner at this level to agency owner at a higher level.
Mhm.
uh, every new rung of growing and scaling your business requires a new identity, and that identity is defined by, more importantly, how you think, because that
Mhm.
determines what you believe is possible, how you believe God can help you, the action that you take and you don't take. And I want to share some of your wins,
Yeah.
but I want you to explain how Born to Slay helped facilitate those for
Mhm.
people who are like, yeah, but where's the strategy? Where's the
Right.
blueprint, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I know that you doubled your sales while you were
yeah.
in the
Mhm.
program. I know that you stopped working weekends and spending time with your family. I know
Mhm.
that you also, after you put the kids to bed, would sometimes go back and work, and you stopped doing
Mhm.
that and
Yes.
started spending time with the hubs. And
Yes.
I love that, because you made more sales and yet you were working less. And one of the new things that, I've really been teaching people about, and I think you were at the beginning of that, was this grace
Mhm.
principle. So explain to people how that transformation happened inside of your business and how Born to Slay facilitated that for you.
Yeah. I think one of the big things that you talk about over and over again is like quality versus quantity. So, like, if you can grow and work more in like a condensed period of time, like it's okay. And it also means then you can spend that quality time. So that was definitely one of my goals when I started Born to Slay, of like, okay, I want to get better at time management. I want to get better at even the peace behind it, because I have always been a go, go, go. I always tell my mom, I'm like, I don't know what you did to me and my sister when we were growing up, but like we just like don't sit still. We cannot sit still. We have to do 50 million things. And I'm like, I am so envious of the people who can just like go sit on their couch at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And so um that was one of my goals going into like a personal goal when we're just like, of just like, I want this piece that Brandon like talks about. Like I want this piece of knowing like it's okay if the work is still there tomorrow. Like go spend the quality time with your family. So again, that was 1,000% just mindset and really just shifting that identity, the beliefs I tell myself. Because even some things, like I remember even things like I would tell you and I'd be like, I'm sorry, like life is crazy. And and like, and you're just like, Rachel, like, it's okay. Like, take a step back, you know? And I was just always so wrapped up around like, oh my gosh, like everything's crazy. You have to do 50 million things, you know? And you're just like, okay, like it's okay, you know? So I don't even know if I have the right words to like describe that, but just that like mentality and that shift of like, it is okay to take a deep breath. It is okay to go spend time. And like, honestly, like working after the kids went to bed, because like when I started as a travel agent, I only had two kids at the time. They were 3 and 1. And so I was only able, and I had no childcare. I was only able to work when they took a nap in the afternoon and after they went to bed at night. And you know, for my husband who's in the army and he's off working 12 hours a day, the only time he really gets to see me is after the kids go to bed. And so it had caused a really big, not rift, but you know, it was our sore spot of marriage because he always thought that I was like choosing work over him. And I was like, I'm not choosing work over you. I just like, this is my only time I get to get work done. You know what I mean? So obviously, you know, could have handled that better for years. But I feel like this was finally like that shift of like, no, like when the day is done, like I'm closing my computer, I'm setting more boundaries with my clients, I'm setting more boundaries with my agents. I can be a good agency owner and not be available 24 hours a day. Where when I started, I was available 24 hours a day. There were many times I was cooking dinner and I had my laptop on so I could be on a call with somebody, walking them through how to make a booking while I'm like making dinner and like boundaries. Like, let's just have some boundaries here. So now I have much better boundaries. And I think another thing too is like Brandon really spoke to me about like building the infrastructure of my agency. Like even if we're not to the number of agents I want to get to right now, we need to make it strong and the infrastructure so that we can get to that point. Which again, I've just kind of always reiterated back in my mind. And I feel like if something's like shifting, I go back and I'm like, okay, let's fix this before we try to grow some more. So now my infrastructure is I have more agents or mentors within the agency who can help some of those newer agents who need it. And so again, like I think I too, like when I came into Born to Slay, I expected like a step 1, do this, step 2, do this, step 3, do this, and like everything's gonna work itself out. But like that's not like what it is. And it's a good thing it's not what that is. There are still steps, like there are still steps and modules to go through. But I think Brandon has like the secret sauce of like really and truly like shifting that mind shift, my mind shift. Oh my gosh, mindset.
Yeah,
Shift your
yeah,
mindset.
that
So
one.
that your mind shift, so that it carries out in so many other ways.
I love so much that you said that because one of the biggest reasons why so many entrepreneurs and business owners, including travel agency owners, they lack true internal certainty and confidence is they haven't developed their gut instinct. They haven't developed their ability to ask for God to lead them into the next right move, next right decision for their business. Because the truth is there's no shortage of marketing funnels, practical pieces, strategy on ChatGPT or Google or the interwebs or, you know, even in the travel industry at large. And what I always tell all of you all is, but is this the right strategy for me? Is this the right time for me? Is this the right way for me? The right, the best way for my skill sets that God has given me, my talents, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a huge difference in that because, well, you know, being a circus clown, you know, all of our clown shoes were completely custom fit, even though they were oversized. They were a shoe within a shoe. And I remember that they would take like 11 measurements for our shoes, and they were the best. I still have my shoes, by the way. But they were like the best feeling shoes you could ever possibly imagine because they were such a perfect fit. And I, you know, who else is going to know the perfect fit for you other than your creator? And like I said, it doesn't mean that you don't take action, but it's a different kind of action because you're developing that gut instinct. By the way, I mean, you definitely are turning into an industry leader, and you can't be an industry leader if you're copycatting and doing what everybody else is doing, right? You have to be able to go your own way. Now, tell everybody a little bit about the ripple effect. How did Born to Slay impact your team, impact being a mom, impact your marriage? Because that's also a ripple effect that people don't always see or realize when they join.
Right.
And I maybe it's me and God's sneak attack.
100%.
But like, how did that translate, into other areas of your life?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's actually crazy. And I will say too, when I met Brandon, there were some things I was holding on to. And one of the first things he told me was, "Well, you need to forgive them." And I was like, "Me? Forgive these people who did me wrong?" I'm like, "No, sir. You have it backwards." I was like very put off. I was like, "No." And then the more I kept thinking about it, I was like, "Oh, I think he's right." And I did. It was funny. Like I bought his book before we left the trip. Like I was like, okay, like I got to figure out more about this forgiveness stuff because again, you don't see anybody else like in I don't think anywhere talking about forgiveness, right? Except for like church. So um even going through like your videos and trainings on like forgiveness, I think shifted so much in so many areas that I didn't know I was like holding on to things. There were so many things that I had looked back on just in my first year as an agency owner that like I hadn't forgiven myself.
Mm.
There, were things like sometimes as an army wife, there are some things that like it's hard to let go of and forgive my husband or the army for, and one of the biggest ones being, who Brandon told me I need to forgive. And so again, I think even just those shifts of forgiveness, leaning into my calling and co-creation, even my Sundays at church. And it's funny, we live at West Point, New York. And so we go to the cadet chapel. And so our pastor is very much preaching to the cadets who are, college kids about to go into the army. And so even though like that is what his like sermons are geared toward, I'm sitting here and I'm picking up the leadership aspects and it would be the same things, we would be talking about in our weekly call or, the modules I was going through, and they would all just somehow like bounce off of each other. And so I think too, I just really let myself become more aware of that and like let myself slow down to like take in all the little things God was trying to give at me. You know what I mean? And I think one of the best pieces, especially with my team, and I have one agent in particular that I'm thinking of. Brandon always says, lead from love, not fear. And because I had left an agency, I think I was very afraid that a lot of my like rock star agents like were going to leave me one day. And like that is so silly. Like I'm like I don't have time to think about that now. Like now I'm just like, I want everybody to be happy. I want everybody to be the agency they're with. Like I just want everybody to live their best life. Like I don't care if you're with me or somebody else. Like it's fine. But this one particular agent, I definitely was leading with fear with her. I was afraid to share my resources because what if somebody takes these and they repurpose them and they leave and now everybody has these hard resources, that I've been working on. And so we came to this moment and I had to shift that and just start with love. And I started doing more check-ins, not even so much of like, hey, how are your sales going? Just like, hey, I'm checking on you. Like I haven't seen you on training in a while. Really just starting from there. And I feel like, especially my agents who like didn't know me personally, that carried so much weight for them because they were like, oh my gosh, like you're caring about my family, like you remember that my mom is sick, like just little things that again, like that's one of the things I think makes me different is like I do care. Like I do care. And when I talk to my agents, I want to know, I know where they live, I know what their spouse is like, I know how many kids they have. Like those are personal touches I don't ever want to lose. And so really just leaning into that lead with love and not fear, I think has been a great ripple effect. And now that one agent that truly from March 2024 to December 2024, like she hardly sold anything, like very absent, hardly sold anything. Something switched in December. And then she ended up coming to our first agency conference we had in February. And now she is my number 2 all-time sales agent. So
Yeah.
that has been wild. Yes. And so I tell her all the time, I'm like, I'm going to pick on you forever because like you are proof, you know what I mean? That all this crazy work, has been so worth it. But yeah, the ripple effect is truly wild. And I think like even just on a personal note, like I think I just like allow myself, Brandon always says slow is fast. Like, and so like not getting mad at myself when I slow down, not getting mad at myself. Like we did a Disney cruise with my family and I did not work the whole time. And I was so proud of myself because last year we did a Disney cruise and I worked every single day. And I regretted it for the entire year after because I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't even get to soak up the vacation that I worked so hard for. And so this year I was like, nope, we're not working on vacation. And again, that seems so silly that like I had to tell myself not to work on vacation, but I think I just also put so much pressure on myself of like, well, in order to have more sales, in order to have more money coming in, like I have to be the one always working, working, working. But like there are other ways. Like you can calm down and slow down and like things will still be okay.
I love that. I love that. I also love that you brought up your travel agency conference.
Yes.
One of the things, well, there's two pieces that you
Yeah.
touched on. One is leading from love and not fear. And there's a whole module in co-creation where I talk about, are you making decisions from fear or are you making decisions from love? And I love that that really helped shape your leadership
Mm-hmm.
because oftentimes we do make a lot of decisions from fear, not
Mm-hmm.
just what we do, but also what we don't do,
Right.
not being able to have real honest conversations. You touched on your agency conference. One of the things that happens when people go through this container is they feel, uh, you stretch your faith muscle and you step
Mm-hmm.
outside your comfort zone and do things you haven't done before. And sometimes that's really scary. And faith is believing what you can't see yet, which is contrary to how we operate. We often focus on our five senses, which can derail us and create doubt. And so tell everybody about how you made the decision to host it while you're born to slay. You started to fall apart and you started to spiral, and then how you use those pieces to bounce back, and just walk everybody through how the program helped you through that, and how that ended up being a huge win in so many different
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny because I definitely think one of my strengths as a human is listening to my gut, listening to my intuition. The downfall is I don't always like think through that. I just like go and then I'm like, I'll figure it out later. It's fine. So my previous agency I was with, they always did an annual conference and it was our time to get together as agents at Disney World. It was a great time because we got to see all the agents. You know, we live all over the place, and we had really good trainings. And so I knew when I started my agency, I was like, that is such a great tool that I want to make sure I have at my agency. Um, Simply because I think it's a great time to be with one another, fellowship, get to know each other, obviously learn more about travel. Plus, I just love anytime travel agents are together, and I'm sure it's the same in every industry, but like it just sets you on fire. And so I was like, we're going to do it. And so I had literally no idea what I was doing, reached out to Disney, got a room block at Coronado Springs, got conference room space at Coronado Springs. Like they told me how much it would be. And I was like, yeah, we're doing it. Like, I don't even care. We're doing it. So I don't think the fear started setting in until like the fall, so like a couple months before, and I was approaching my deadlines, and not many people had registered. I think at the time we had like 6, and I knew I had to get like 10 rooms for the room block, and I knew I needed like 12-ish to like really be somewhere with like the catering and conference stuff. And so I was like, we only have 6 people. I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I even reached out to Disney to see what it would be like to cancel. I should have read my contract. Don't cancel a room block. And so I was like, okay, we can't cancel. So we just gotta figure this out somehow. I kept promoting it, to my agents. I kept being like, you really need to come. You really need to come. I was just anything I could do to try and get more people to come because I was like, we have 6 people and this is going to be so silly. So between like October and December, I was in the final stretch. We ended up getting sorry, let me back up. I knew this was one of my things that I needed to forgive myself for because I felt like moving full steam ahead with this conference without true people committing. I thought it was one of my biggest failures in my first year of being an agency owner. And I had I'd already started Born to Slay at that point. I was thinking about it. And I was like, I really need to forgive myself. So one night I literally just laid in my bed and I prayed to God and I just put it all out there. And I was just like, dear Lord, like I know that this was my failure. I know I should have, had more like foresight to see, how things were going to go. And, but like, here I am. I'm like, I have to make this work somehow. I'm like, I just need you to help show me the way that this is going to work. I don't know what that entails, but you do. And so I'm just trusting on you. And literally, it was probably 45 minutes of me just like telling God all the things. Like, I just laid it out there and I was like, okay, we're just gonna see what happens. And the funny thing at the time, I hadn't told Brandon because I was literally so embarrassed by this. Like I literally thought it was my biggest downfall. And my husband Travis being like, well, have you talked to Brandon? Like Brandon can help give you some ideas. And I'm like, no, I'm like, I can't. Like I am gonna disappoint Brandon. I can't do that. And so between just the couple months of trying and revisiting with some of my agents, and again, this is where that leading with love, a couple of my agents who decided at the last minute to come, it was because I had reached out and just said, hey, I know you're not making as many sales, and I know coming to the conference is going to be a big ask of you, but I really think you can benefit from being there. You're going to learn so much. You're going to meet our other agents. And at least 3 or 4 of them, like that reaching out to them was the switch for them and why they came. So we ended up with 13 at the conference. We were only supposed to have 6. We ended up with 13, which was amazing. And it was truly the best weekend ever. Most of my agents, it was the first time I got to meet them in person. We just like, I had actually over planned trainings. And so like, we didn't even get to like multiple sessions that I had like planned. Everyone literally loved it so much. And it was funny because going into it, I was like, this is going to like financially ruin me. I'm like, I'm never doing this again. I literally can't do this. And then before it was even over, everybody was like, okay, what are the dates for next year? Show me where to give you my credit card. I'm ready. And I was like, okay, I guess we're doing this. So yeah, so next year, we already have 25 registered and coming. So
yay!
Paid off tenfold. Every single agent since leaving has increased their bookings. They show up more actively on our weekly training call. They show up for each other. Like they truly got to, foster friendships where like even random people that I didn't think would like, get along or be buddy. Now they're like besties. I'm like, okay, we love it. So really and truly. And then of course afterwards I was like, Brandon, I have to tell you what happened. Like this was the craziest thing ever. But and now it's just I think I just tried to lean into that. Like I am a very prayerful person. Like I'm always praying, I'm always telling God what's happening. But just remembering that like God can do bigger things than I can and laying it at his feet, like what's the worst thing that's gonna happen? He's gonna show up in my life, So it was truly the craziest experience in a couple months, but just paid off for sure.
I love it. I love it so much. I have nothing to add to that story. I know that we saw each other in Magic Kingdom recently, and you were talking about how your new Disney BDM was so impressed that you already have the next one scheduled. And I think that's amazing. I just think that's so cool. Yes. So what else would you want someone to know who, I feel like there's a lot of people who don't know me, who've been reading my posts, and sometimes my posts trigger people.
It's okay.
They are truth bombs. But what would you want someone to know about what it's like to work with me, especially maybe, what it's like behind the curtain, what it's like to have one-on-one in your corner, those kinds of pieces? What would you want people to know?
Yeah. Truly, Brandon is a wealth of knowledge. Like whether you meet him on the street or you're in Born to Slay, like he is a wealth of knowledge. And I think also the other, you know, just things you've learned over the years, like you are never shy to like pour that into other people. So number one, you're a wealth of knowledge. Number two, you are a constant. So like I really loved how we had a weekly, Born to Slay call. Those were amazing for me because again, as like an agency owner, I'm the one always pouring into others. Like I'm scheduling the trainings, I'm putting things out for them. And so even just having that 1 hour a week where I could sit back and like someone could pour into me was so helpful. So I think especially if you're at the top of your field and you're feeling a little lonely, like getting to be surrounded by like-minded people, having Brandon pour into you one-on-one is amazing. He was always a quick message or email away if there was something crazy happening. There are so many things that like I opened up to Brandon about, and I was like so vulnerable. I was just like, listen, like I need your help in this place. And he always came to me with grace, sometimes tough love, because he's like, Rachel, this is what's happening. But again, there's no one else to give that to me. So even the tough love is so worth it. And I think just knowing like Born to Slay, like it truly is, it's multiple things. Like it's a community, most of the other people I was in the container with, like we still all follow each other and keep up with each other. And just the support from Brandon. Like I just saw him not too long ago. We got to meet up in Magic Kingdom. It's just knowing that like it feels like he's on this journey with me. You know what I mean? Like he knows where I'm at, he knows where I've come from. And I remember even, when my container was over, he was like, I'm still here. Like, don't just leave me and never tell me what's happening again. It's like he is genuine. And I truly think if anyone is on the ledge about deciding, they need to just schedule a call with you just to get those questions out and figure out if Born to Slay is right for them. Because again, it's hard to talk with you to talk with you and not see everything come out and know that you're genuine. Like I'm very good at like picking up on people. And so I think even if people are just following along, reading, seeing what's happening, like schedule that call, Brandon, and just see if this is the right program for you. Because if you are someone who needs that help in leveling up, like Brandon is it. Like he's your one. So I think just make the call and they'll see how amazing you are.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your wins. I'm so grateful that God allowed you to bless my life, and that you were drawn closer and in co-creation with him with your business. And it's been amazing. So if you all want to apply to join Born to Slay, I'll put the link down below. But Rachel Boo, I love you. Thank you so much for sharing your journey today.
Thanks.